Welcome to the Academy of Photography. My Wi-Fi went down for 5 minutes, so I went to talk to my family. They seem to be like nice people. I'm Christian Tudor, and today I'm gonna go through a lot of emails and a lot of submissions. This has been long overdue, so I finally found some time to actually go through some photos, make comments, give the rating. So as a reminder, I'm gonna use the Tudor Rating System, my invention, because my intent is to actually create a quality guide in photography, so we can avoid the discussion I like, you like. At least we bring everything to a common place that we can actually judge photos and we can actually standardize quality. Now, it's always going to be subjective, obviously, but we're trying to get to a point and try to be as objective as possible in terms of photos. Without further ado, I'm gonna jump right into the session because I've got a lot of photos to comment on, and usually what I do is ask people to comment their photos themselves from using my quality guide, which is free for download on the Academy of Photography website. Anyway, let's start. I'm gonna start with this photo, railroad tracks, from Gregg Fisher. Thank you for your submission. I have seen you have used your Tudor rating system and you try to rate yourself the image. I'm gonna judge, as mentioned before, by content, composition, and quality of the image. In terms of content, you gave yourself 6 out of 10. I can agree with that. I like the fact you have laid down on your belly and took this at the ground level. It's an effort, so I can see there's a little passion for photography, because a normal person will actually shoot the photos just standing up. But 6 out of 10, I think it's fair. In terms of composition, the only thing I see here is perspective, which is fine. However, the convergence lines are going to very close to the edge. I would either take them out of the picture, the convergence lines, because that's where the interest is drawn to. So please pay attention when you're using perspective, where those perspective lines are converging. That would be an interesting point in the picture. In this case, the convergence is going blurry and it's somewhere close to the edge. I would have tried to push it in one of the intersection of the rule of thirds. I'm pretty sure you understand what I'm talking about. And also the focus point is highlighting the composition, should highlight the composition, but in your case, it's not very clear. So in terms of composition, even if you try to use the perspective, I would give you a 4 out of 10, maybe a 5, because there is a composition. And in terms of technical execution, I see a large image, but it's not that sharp, and I am not sure where the focus is. The focus is always a tool to highlight the subject, which is a bit confusing here. So technical execution, 5 out of 10. It's not that bad. I do like the image, but this is about being objective. Next image comes from Krishna Ramachandran. The subject is very clear, is the building in the picture. I'm not sure what it is. It could be a train station or a museum. I don't know. Maybe you have a relationship with this building. For me, it doesn't tell me anything because I've seen many buildings. So from content perspective, nothing special. In terms of composition, I can see a few elements here which I like. The fact you have used the rule of thirds for the building entry, which is telling me that that's the subject, and also perspective lines which are curved. I like the fact you took this picture from this. I can see rhythm, I can see rule of thirds, I can see symmetry. I believe that shooting from under a tree with seeing those leaves is actually highlighting the subject, and I think that's a very good tool. So in terms of composition, I would say probably a 7 out of 10, because I see compositional elements and I can see that they are used with intention. Technical execution, it's a little bit underexposed, however it's a powerful image, strong colors. I can see you use a good camera, and I think you deserve a probably 8 out of 10. Bumblebee, this is a macro picture, very powerful, very strong, very interesting content, 8 out of 10. I'm not to say that macro is more interesting than other things, but it does take some skill, and obviously whoever purchases a macro lens has the intention and the passion for photography to invest a little bit of money to get some good results. So content 8 out of 10. It's a bumblebee. It looks very good. Composition, there's nothing wrong with symmetry, and I like the fact it's a little bit tilted, so that creates a little bit of disbalance, but it's very well executed. In terms of quality of the image, 9 out of 10. I can see you're using a very good camera, and definitely you know how to edit your photos because the colors are very strong and powerful. In conclusion, this is a very good photo. I've seen many macros, and this is one of the good ones. Flowers from Worm's Eye View. You called your picture Worm's Eye View. In terms of content, it's nothing special. You need some credit for getting into the ground and shoot up. It's just a bunch of plants, and I'm not really sure if your subject is the red flowers, the blue flowers, or all the flowers, or a texture. It's a little bit confusing. So for content, I would give you a 6, maybe a 7 out of 10. Composition is confusing. I don't see a composition here. I'm not sure what was your intent, and for that, probably a 4 to 5 out of 10. And in terms of quality, you deserve the 8 out of 10. You're a good photographer, and I can see that. There you have very good quality pictures. Next picture comes from halllink Aleventi, and she's submitting this picture from Budapest. This is architectural photography. In terms of content, I don't have any connections with this building, so it tells me nothing. So it would not be fair to give you a bad rating. You can rate it yourself. If this brings you any memories or you relate in any shape or form with this building, you can give your 10 out of 10. For me, it doesn't tell me anything. Architectural photography is a great way to use your compositional skills. You can use perspective, you can use symmetry, you can use rule of thirds, you can use balance. Unfortunately, I don't see any composition intent here. It's just random. You took a photo, and that's about it. So there's no composition here. Unfortunately, I would rate it 4 out of 10. In terms of quality of the image, too much yellow and red is a little bit bothering, so I don't think you master your white balance, and the picture is not that sharp. Not sure if it's the camera or if it's the fact that the image was submitted as 400 pixels. It's not a powerful image as I would love to see. So in terms of quality, 4 out of 10, maybe 5, just for encouraging. Next image comes from Justin Sharp, Lake Reflections. He's giving himself 6 out of 10 for content, nothing special, and it's a very basic landscape photo. I can agree with that. In terms of composition, obviously symmetry for reflection. Justin is saying that he has used the rule of thirds for the cabin, which I disagree with. The rule of thirds is not properly executed. That's why it's a little bit confusing. Also, going back, I'm not sure if this image is about the bench or the cabin. The relationship is not very clear. In terms of quality, it's very difficult to judge. I see a lot of underexposed areas, which I would have preferred to see a little bit more light, but that's a personal opinion. The overall feeling is not that great. It's not a very powerful image. So I would say a 5 to 6 out of 10. Next image comes from wedding photographer Lucian. Dear sir, I'm currently a wedding photographer. Please give me your honest opinion on my work. And he submitted this picture. Content, couple next to a big tree. Big tree is interesting, and the couple is having a love moment. That's interesting. So I would say probably 7 to 8 out of 10. From composition perspective, it's an intent to use the rule of thirds here. It's not that bad either. However, I'm a bit bothered by the fact that the tree is overwhelming. I would have preferred that the couple would be on a slightly different background, even if it's a tree, probably flat, so I can have a texture. However, the tree here is a bit overwhelming. The fact the image is cropped on horizontal, it's a good thing. I can see this hanged on a wall. Quality of the image is very good. Powerful colors, good contrast, probably an 8 out of 10. You're a wedding photographer. Looks like you know what you're doing. Next set of 3 photos are coming from Ryan Mosley. He says, Please critique my photos when you have the chance. I really want to get into the business. I didn't have an actual opinion on my work yet, but I'm using only one camera, Canon Rebel EOS T3. Is it sufficient camera in your opinion? Well, any camera is sufficient in my opinion. Depends on what you want to do. For the business, probably you need to upgrade a little bit. In terms of photo, the first one, which is showing a gentleman having a bit of McDonald's in a car park, this is not photography. This is just snapping a picture. I'm not gonna make any comments. You use the Tudor Rating System and you judge it yourself, because this is not the type of photography, if we can call this photography, that I wanna critique. But the following two, they have a bit of intent, so I'm gonna talk about them. Girl smelling a flower. In terms of content, I really think this is a good image. It's a girl smelling a flower. However, the entire picture is destroyed by the fact it's desaturated. I don't think you have used the selective desaturation properly in this case. And you want to highlight something with leaving it with color, that's fine. But in this case, which one is more important? Her eyes, the flowers, or what? Highlighting the flowers will tell me that that's the real subject. However, this is confusion, because I believe the subject is the girl smelling the flowers. In terms of composition, nothing here. I don't see any intention. From my perspective, this is a 3 out of 10. In terms of quality, the image is very blurry. It's not sharp, poorly executed, and I would say this is another 3 out of 10. I believe this could have been a great image by using the color properly, either full color, either full black and white. Also, with a better equipment, it could have been outstanding. Third image and the last one from Ryan is the Hollywood Theater sunset. Now, I'm not sure what's the subject here. Is it the entire building? Is it only the signage? Regardless, it's confusing, because I would have put it either the entire building in the picture, or I could have focused on the signage. Again, a lot of confusion. So from my content perspective, it's a 4 out of 10. In terms of composition, again, nothing. And also quality is not that great. Ryan, I would suggest you go through the composition tutorial and composition videos that I've done before, and that should take you to a much better position as a photographer. I hope my comments will be taken only as constructive criticism, and should encourage Ryan just to try a little bit more to think before he presses the button. Next image comes from Matos Valco. Hello sir, I'm sending you only one of my photo for critique, because after 5 years of taking photos, I am sure only about this one. I think I have something more than just good composition. I have also emotion and feel. I know it's not perfect, but I think it's my best. Matus, thank you for your submission. I do enjoy your photo, I'll have to admit. It's a good photo in my opinion. Content, this is the best example where a photo tells a story. It's a car, maybe car chase, I don't know, but it's a car on a street, and it's an old vintage car. In terms of content, yes, maybe you can relate to this photo more than I do, so I can't make a judgment on that. In terms of composition, it's a very good composition, rule of thirds. And I also see the perspective. I like the curve lines, which are drawing my eyes properly, so I can see the subject very clear in the picture. Also, in terms of execution, focus is proper on the subject. I'm not sure where the emotion and the feel of the image is, but if you relate to the image, that's good for yourself. So in terms of content, you give yourself the rating you want to give. Composition, 7, 8 out of 10, and technical execution, another 7 out of 10. Next set of 3 pictures are coming from Pavez Azaha. Focus on the flower. Content, I'm not sure, it's just a flower. I've seen a lot of flowers. This one is slightly different than the other, so I will probably give it a 6 out of 10. In terms of composition, I can see the flower is following the rule of thirds, but it's coming from the corner, and that is ruining it a little bit. Probably a bit more leaves would have helped, and also a bit of balance with something else in the picture. This is too simple, too blunt. And also the subject is basically overwhelmed by the background in this case. That's my opinion. Quality of the picture is very good, 8 out of 10. Next image is an example of wildlife photography. It's a bird. It's with the back. I would have loved to see the bird from the front, so from that perspective I would give it a 4, 5 out of 10. I don't see the bird, I see its back. Composition, rule of thirds, that's kind of okay. I can't say more than that. There's nothing wrong with the composition, and technical execution very good. I can see you're using a telephoto lens, and you have a good camera. Last image, tree in the sunset. In my opinion, sunset are a little bit cliche, and I've seen a lot of trees, silhouette trees in the sunset. So from a content perspective, I don't think it's that interesting, to be honest with you. I would say 5 out of 10. Again, with the composition, I see you know what you're doing. I can't say more than that. So rule of thirds. A bit balance destroyed by the black corner with the hill. And the quality of the picture is good as the first 2 images. Bride in the Mirror from Stevie V. He submitted this photo by after watching my wedding photography tutorials, and he got a confidence boost. Content, Bride in a Mirror. It's a standard shot for myself. However, for a normal wedding photography situation, it's not that easy to take, and I would give it a 7 out of 10. It's a good image. Composition, again, it's well presented. The focus is the mirrored image, rule of thirds. The proportion between the mirrored image and the rest of the picture is well captured. Quality of the image is very good. I'm happy I don't see any flashes, any harsh shadows. It is a good wedding photography image. I'm always happy to see that my tips are taken into practice by other people and executed properly. Next image, portrait girl, little fairy, coming from Jamie Gott with absolutely no comments. In terms of content, I would give it a 6, 7 out of 10. Probably you can give it yourself a bit more if she's your daughter, or you can relate to her in any shape or form. It's a better portrait than a normal simple girl portrait. She's dressed up. I'm not sure if especially for the photo shoot or one of those kindergarten events. In terms of composition, other than it's a normal photo, I don't see any composition intent, but I can't say this is a stuff up either. Image quality, colors are very strong, good contrast. It's a strong image. However, I don't think you have a very sharp lens because it is a little bit blurry. So from that perspective, I can't give you more than 6 out of 10. Tram Tracks from Guillermo Benavides. It was taken with the Nikon D5300, a Tamron 28 to 75 mm f2.8, ISO 100, aperture priority, and post-processing Lightroom, which I can see. In terms of content, this is not about Tram Tracks. I can see an artistic intent and a message. Now, my message could be different than your message. The way I see it is the length, or it's taking my view to a far distant point. What I like about the content is it does have some meaning. Now, the meaning, again, it could be different from one person to other person. For me, it does tell me something. From a content perspective, I would give it a 7 out of 10. In terms of composition, I can see the obvious symmetry, which is highlighting the main message of this photograph. And one of the things that it's obvious, it is the left-hand side track, which is taking our eyes to the left. Now, every symmetry can have also disymmetric or asymmetric elements in the picture. Sometimes they help, sometimes they don't. I don't think it helps in this case because the eyes are drawn to the left and it's a little bit of confusion. I'm not saying that asymmetric elements in a symmetric picture are a bad thing. Imagine a perfectly beautiful woman's face with one of the eyebrows higher than the other one, and that is called a dissymmetry. Now, in that case, it could really help the image becoming more interesting. However, in this case, I don't think the dissymmetry or the asymmetry present is really helping. So composition, probably a 6 or 7 out of 10. In terms of image quality, I think the filter is a little bit overdone and I don't see the focus in the picture. It's a bit confusing. So from a execution quality perspective, I would say this is not that great. I would give it a 5 out of 10. I'm gonna finish today's video with one final submission coming from James King. He says that I critique few photos for him a while ago, and he would be delighted to send another 3 just for comments, because he's been working hard to improve. I was actually surprised by the modesty because I believe these 3 images are actually very interesting, and I like the powerful impact and the graphical quality. Anyway, just to continue with the critique, I'm just going to go through them, but I want to mention a few other things at the end. First image, obviously a landscape photograph with a very powerful visual impact. I actually did not believe at the beginning that this is a photograph. I thought it was a graphical image done in some sort of software. It's looking very good, so from content perspective I believe it's interesting due to the way it's presented. I would give it a probably 8 out of 10, but this is me. In terms of composition, I see a very simple composition, a rule of thirds, the horizon, and everything else is supporting this. I believe it's a very well composed image. There's nothing more I can say about it. A little bit of symmetry as well. Not that clear, but I think it works in this case. Graphical and quality of the image, despite the fact I can see dark areas which are underexposed, they don't bother me because the entire color of the picture is very nice. So I would give it probably an 8 out of 10. Second picture, another very well and very interesting landscape photography. I see a storm. It's either at the beginning or at the end. I'm well impressed with the general tone and the mood that gives me. So I see the message here. I recognize good quality photography. In terms of composition, rule of thirds, very simple. There's nothing more I can say about that. It really works. And it really works in both sides. So horizon, lower third, and also the lighter area of the picture, which I believe it's the subject, is the light on the third left. So 2 times rule of thirds. That's a bonus. Image quality very good. I can see you have a good eye and a good camera, and also I like the fact the image is very smooth. Probably you've done a little bit of post-production on this one. The general tone is very good. Third image and the last one for James, the Asian or Pacific pavilion. I'm not sure. From a content perspective, I don't believe that's that interesting. However, someone else could find it. This is a typical image for a brochure, for a kind of a travel advertising or holiday advertising. I believe for that it's a little bit underexposed. So from content, not that interesting for me, but that's me. Composition, I can see you master the composition, rule of thirds 2 times. Again, horizon on the lower third, and also this image has the proper hierarchy. Subject is well proportioned in the picture, and also trying to get a bit of rule of thirds. From quality perspective, the image is a little bit underexposed for my taste. That's it for today. I hope you did not fall asleep. The purpose of these critiques are to get everyone to a common ground. Obviously, you could disagree with some of my critiques. You could agree. You can have different opinions. Everyone is entitled to opinion. The truth is somewhere in between. So regardless if I do good comments or bad comments, regardless if you believe I was harsh or maybe I was a little bit too generous, it's all about communication, it's all about discussion, and it's all about bringing everyone to at least a common ground, to a methodology to judge pictures. That's all that it is. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. I'm not gonna punish you with more critiques in the immediate future, but I still have to do some, because this is about communication. This is about feedback to people who took the time to submit photos for critique, and I still have a lot of them to go through. I will do another video in a few weeks time, and I'll try to capture as many as I can. Thank you for watching. Until I see you next time, I wish you happy shooting. Thank you very much.